News 8 at 10. Local people, local news.
Good evening, I'm Chris Oswald. It is another cold night out there, so let's turn things over to Chris Nessman. And Chris, there is some snow in our forecast.
Yeah, there's quite a bit of snow, at least a few off and on storms. Now, one beauty of snow is it certainly makes things Christmas-like, combined with the lights in the Jackson Town Square. Very, very nice even seeing people take pictures all evening with the archway. And we've got a few lingering showers, mainly near the state line. You can see a lot of it stretches down into Salt Lake. For our neck of the woods, not seeing a whole lot right now, but there is more to come as another storm or a second storm in a series of storms comes off the Pacific into the northwest. Pocatello right now 35 degrees, still breezy winds southwest at 17 miles an hour, and the winds will stick around, though I'd knock a few miles an hour off of that, more 10 to 20, Chris. But coming up, we will have on the series of storms, and we're talking possible sub-zero temperatures again for our forecast.
All right,
coming up.
Thanks, Chris. As the temps fall and the snow moves in, it is important to remember to take it easy on the roads. Driving conditions can quickly go from good to bad. Here is a live look at the Idaho Transportation Department road conditions map. You can see all the purple there on your screen. Those purple is going to be difficult driving areas, so snow, ice-covered roads. The blue are going to be slushy, partly covered roads, and everything in gray is going to be normal conditions. So you can see most of the purple is going to be to our north and then everything to our east. So just take it slow out there. And as the road conditions go from good to bad, it is important to remember your winter driving habits. Here is a reminder of what they are. Finally, the sound of winter has arrived in eastern Idaho. The sound of spinning tires is common throughout the area.
It's wet. It's slick.
That's Lou. She spent most of the day shoveling the snow off her sidewalks, and she isn't looking forward to getting behind the wheel. She's not worried about herself, though. She's worried about others on the road.
Use your signal lights. That's my biggest pet peeve. No signal lights. I'm not a mind reader.
Lou is right. Snow-covered roads seem to bring out the worst in drivers. Dave Mason is a driving instructor of 20 years.
People have habits, and the problem with habits and snow is they don't really go well together.
So here's the deal. Not used to winter driving or not, the first real snowfall is not your license to forget common road rules like slowing down.
It takes longer to stop than in normal conditions. Now, I've been out this morning. There's enough snow on the road now, especially in the neighborhoods and the not-so-worn areas, that you're still going to slide.
Another thing, stay off my bumper. It is no secret that traveling too closely, even in good conditions, is a bad idea. Dave says there are 3 important things you need to think about before driving in the snow. First, stopping early. Second, take off slowly. Mason says push the gas to get going, then let off and accelerate again, repeating the process until you've reached that traveling speed you want to get to. Finally, take your corner slowly. All things Lou plans to do in the morning when she heads to work.
You just have to use common sense.
That you do, and doing so could keep you from ending up with a banged-up car or possibly even an injury or worse. Another tip from AAA, if you have anti-lock brakes and need to slow down quickly, press hard on the pedal. It is normal for the pedal to vibrate a bit when the brakes are activated. And during the winter months, a number of highway departments use a solution called salt brine to keep our roads safe. The simple mixture of water and 23% salt is usually sprayed on the roads before a snowstorm hits, and it's also used to treat the roads after a snowstorm hits.
To pre-wet the salt at the spinner out of the back of a truck. It helps activate the salt. Salt needs moisture to activate. So that activates the salt and helps it stick to the road instead of being dry and bouncing off.
Although the salt brine is used to make the roads a little safer by melting the ice faster, drivers should still drive carefully following a snowstorm and remember to give the snowplows enough space while they are clearing the roads. With all of our recent snowfall and the cold temps comes the risk of an avalanche. Portions of southeast Idaho are under an avalanche warning at this hour. New tonight, Aubrey McKay has tips on staying safe if you hit the slopes.
First and foremost, before you buy anything else, I'd buy safety gear.
Luke Larson is an avid skier and the co-owner of the Lift House Ski Shop. He knows firsthand why backcountry skiers should be prepared. He's heard warnings like this before.
We've got a big series of storms coming in this weekend, and they're going to drop a bunch of wet, heavy snow on top of this. It doesn't take a lot of imagination to realize that when you put a big load on top of weak layers of snow, you're going to have a lot of avalanches.
The Utah Avalanche Center recommends that at the very least, people have a beacon, a probe, and a shovel.
they're definitely all accompany each other. One's fairly useless without the other. So if you don't have a shovel and a probe, the beacon's not going to do you much good, and a shovel isn't going to do you much good if you're just digging randomly.
Gear like this can be found at most ski shops, and Larson knows it really does save lives.
Out of the top, you have a large airbag that deploys, and so it's not like floating on water, but it's the larger you become, the more likely you are to stay on top of the snow.
It was an airbag like this that taught Larson the importance of being prepared.
I actually saw one in use once. I was with a guide, and he actually got caught in an avalanche, deployed his bag. We were able to get eyes on him.
Larson says despite all the fresh snow hype, he joins the Utah Avalanche Center in hoping people will pay attention to those avalanche warnings and be prepared.
But yeah, I've seen an airbag deployed, and it was, after he was safe and healthy, it was a pretty cool thing to see once he was okay.
New since 6, the Madison County Sheriff honored a fellow brother in blue today. Members of the Sheriff's Office helped with the funeral escort of Police Cadet Christopher Murray in Newdale, Idaho. These are pictures posted on the Sheriff's Office Facebook page. 31-year-old Murray suffered a medical condition in his final physical training exercise to be a police officer in Texas. He has been hospitalized since that incident in November. It has been nearly a week now since a massive fire destroyed the LDS Church in Swan Valley. The fire took several fire departments hours to put out, and we still don't know the cause of this fire. This weekend, members of the church will meet for state conference. It is expected that during that time, a new meeting place for worship will be announced. We will pass that information along to you as we have it. In Boise, one person is killed in an apartment complex fire on the northwest side of town. The fire started on the 3rd floor, and we know one person has died. A firefighter was hurt as well. A 3rd person was taken to the hospital. And staying in Boise, the FAA is investigating air traffic controllers and whether they were smoking marijuana when a medical helicopter could not get in touch with them back on November 19th. According to a police report, the responding officer said the tower smelled of weed and so did the elevator. The officer said it appeared the air traffic controllers had just woken up and were eating a pizza. Police searched for the marijuana, but none was found. 1 month since the presidential election, and it is time to already start thinking 2018. State Senator Marv Hagedorn says he will run for lieutenant governor in 2018. The Meridian Republican is the first official candidate for the seat after current Lieutenant Governor Brad Little said that he was going to run for governor. Hagedorn is a retired Navy officer and has served in the Senate since 2012. He also served in the Idaho House. To the Trump transition now. Today, the president-elect spent the day at the Army-Navy game in Baltimore. While the president-elect took in the game, the Trump team fielded questions about a new Washington Post article that a secret CIA report found Russia interfered in the U.S. election to help Trump win. Trump's transition team quickly responded, saying the credibility of the CIA these are the same people that said Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction. Meantime, the New York Times is reporting intelligence agencies also found Russia hacked the RNC, but did not release what information they gleaned from the Republican networks.
The intelligence is wrong because they're writing that the conclusion that they came to was based in part on the RNC was hacked. It wasn't hacked.
The White House had no comment, but President Obama has ordered a full review of the hacking and wants a report before he leaves office next month. A court case is challenging Jackson's ban on short-term residential rentals as unconstitutional. The defendants are accused of renting a unit in a suburban residential zone on websites like VRBO and Airbnb. A town ordinance makes it illegal to advertise short-term rentals or communicate with a potential rental about short-term rentals. The defendants say the ordinance is illegal because talking or advertising about something illegal is not illegal. A Pocatello company wants to make sure those who get too drunk to drive home get home safely this holiday. Denny's Wrecker Service will offer free tows between the 14th of this month and January 1st. All you have to do is call the company and they will send someone out to get you in your car and get you home. Here's the deal though, your car has to be operational, and if you're in a crash, you're too late. The company says a tow following a crash will cost you. Local law enforcement had a special mission today to put a smile on the faces of dozens of kids. The 20th annual Shop with a Cop took place today. It happened at the Kmart in Idaho Falls, where kids got a chance to shop till they dropped for Christmas presents. Not only did they get gifts for themselves, but they also got gifts for their families. One little shopper couldn't hold her excitement in while in the store.
I went in the car and drove in the front seat and stuff like that. I'm excited to be shopping with Cops and getting stuff for my family.
Isn't she just the most adorable thing? If you'd like to see the full story on Shop with a Cop, you can visit our website at localnews8.com. Just search Shop with a Cop. It's popular, it's efficient, and it could soon know your next move. Coming up a little later on the news at 10, changes in policy at Uber and the invasion of privacy that it could mean for you. But first, right after the break, new developments out of Istanbul as the death toll rises after an attack on police. But first, here's a look at today's highs and lows. We'll be right back.
Local people, local news. You're watching Local News 8 at 10.
New developments out of Istanbul, 29 people now reported dead, 166 wounded after twin blast outside a busy soccer stadium. Tonight, witnesses describing what they saw. ABC's Elizabeth Herr with the harrowing story.
A chaotic scene after two powerful explosions went off outside a soccer stadium at the end of a match. A Turkish newscast capturing the moment. The blasts so powerful, people miles away were knocked from their seats. Police swarming the scene, firing their weapons into the air. Dozens of wounded officers were rushed to the hospital. One startled witness told reporters, "I was rocked inside my car, hitting my head on the meter. Seconds later, there were guns fired. Policemen were shouting." The country's interior minister, who claims police were targeted, condemned the acts of violence, saying this was a planned, vile, and treacherous attack. The U.S. Embassy in Turkey tweeting its support. "Our hearts and prayers are with the people of Istanbul tonight." There was no immediate claim of responsibility, but the country has been hit by a series of bomb attacks attributed to ISIS and Kurdish rebels seeking independence. Elizabeth Herr, ABC News, New York.
In a statement, White House officials also condemned the attack, saying their thoughts and prayers go out to the victims, their families, and to all the people of Turkey. Back here in the U.S., a blast of winter hits hard this weekend. Heavy snow and bitter cold temperatures combined to make it a miserable drive in many communities across several states. Heavy lake effect snow is pounding parts of New York, Ohio, and Michigan. For some places, accumulation could top 2 feet. For many people, the race is just to stay ahead of this storm, getting out multiple times to clear sidewalks and driveways.
I don't wait for it to get too deep because you won't be able to do anything with it.
It looks like that in some places around here. Luckily, we don't have all the lake effect snow.
We don't get that here too much, but a couple places with the storms did get some decent snow totals. Those are mostly way up in the mountains where you want the snow. But you see currently in Idaho Falls, 33 degrees and that nice low cloud deck. That's going to keep things on the mild end. However, as we get closer and drop below freezing, the roads are going to get slick as the rain we had, again, above freezing right now, will drop below freezing. That rain will switch over to ice on those roads. And winds also still fairly breezy and blustery in a couple spots. And notice Viperator, for the most part, it's tapered off. We do have a few showers sliding in, so we're not entirely done yet, nor are we done for the next couple days as a series of storms come through from the Pacific. So looking at Vipercast, next couple days, it's going to be fairly consistent. Off and on snow showers in the mountains, a couple of those will drift into the valleys, and it just continues on like that for next several days, actually. Really not a whole lot of changes. You can see just a brief front sliding through Monday afternoon, not affecting a whole lot of folks, but that's going to be one of several weak fronts sliding through. So tonight's lows, teens and 20s, and tomorrow a lot of folks will be right near freezing, plus or minus a few degrees. Same thing for the Central Mountains. Stanley, a little cooler per usual, but you notice off and on chances almost every single day for the next several days. So it's going to be a fairly busy forecast as we move ahead. Teens in the upper valley, 20s, maybe but nudging 30 in a couple places like Rexburg. Still though, high of 28, well, right about average. Same thing for the Southeast Highlands, and again, off and on snow showers for the next couple of days. Moving on past this graphic towards the extended forecast, we look at off and on snow showers all the way through till Friday. And speaking of Friday, that's when the bottom drops out and things get considerably cooler. And we're talking highs barely reaching double digits, overnight lows into the negatives in some places. Pocatello, similar story, not quite as cold, but still 12 degrees for a high next Saturday. That is plenty cold for the both of us. And again, off and on snow showers almost every single day. Jackson definitely getting cold next weekend, with a high of a mere 4 degrees forecasted for next Saturday.
Brr. Nobody is looking forward to that.
Some might. Some might.
No, thank you. Thanks, Chris. A cold day to be outside, but some diehard horse lovers braved the conditions. The National Chariot Racing kicked off at the Jefferson County Fairgrounds today. These races will continue every Saturday at the fairgrounds through January. It is the challenge seen around the globe. Now the Mannequin Challenge is hitting eastern Idaho. This is the crew over at Pockets in Idaho Falls. They're getting in on the action, or maybe the lack thereof. From those ready to break at the pool tables, you see it there, to waitresses standing in place. Everyone got in on the fun. If you have done a Mannequin Challenge, we'd love to see it. Just share it on our Facebook page, Local News 8. Uber wants to make changes to its tracking policy. Still to come on the news at 10, what you will soon have to accept to catch a ride. GM recall for you tonight. It's tonight's Consumer Report. The company is recalling nearly 50,000 SUVs made for police and government use. The company says there is a hazard with the cooling system. The problem affects the 2010 through 2014 models of the Chevy Tahoe Police Pursuit SUV. GM will notify owners of the affected vehicles and fix the problem for free. Uber users, listen up. The ride-sharing app wants you to let it track your location after your ride ends. The company is changing its policy, allowing it to track your location after your drop-off for up to 5 minutes. Uber says they will use this information gathered to make your experience safer, smoother, and faster. They say, for example, if a passenger has to cross a busy intersection, it might be better to pick a different drop-off spot next time. Since the news broke, privacy watchdog groups like the Electronic Frontier Foundation have publicly asked Uber to roll back the policy.
Everything from, your visit to a doctor's office or your visit to your local pastor might be revealed by that sort of information.
Uber has declined an on-camera interview, but released this statement saying location is at the heart of the Uber experience, and we're asking riders to provide us with more information to achieve these goals. The Idaho State men's basketball team should have had an easy night. Key words, should have. Julia Cox will bring you some of the highlights from their game next on Sportsline.
Local people, local news. You're watching Local News 8 at 10.
I'm so excited.
You're watching Sportsline with Julia Cox.
With one win in their 9 games played, the Idaho State men's basketball team is off to their worst start in head coach Bill Evans' tenure. Now, the Bengals hosted Bristol tonight. Bristol is the USCAA that is below the NAIA. Bristol only has 8 players and they don't have an assistant coach, so hypothetically speaking, this should be easy, right? First half, the Bengals lead by 2 and Michael Crosby is making it look easy. One dribble, sets and shoots, hitting the 3. Bristol leads 8-7. Just a few plays later, Bristol is bringing it down the court, but Gino Luzcando gets the steal. He passes it to Brandon Boyd, and Boyd finishes it with the layup. ISU leads by 1. Later in the first, Bristol leads 14-9. Crosby gets it, does the pump fake, gets inside the paint, and hits the pull-up jumper. Bristol leads by 7. Later in the first, the Bengals are down 19-16. Boyd gets the steal. Then he hits Then he gets it to Hayes Garrity, who finishes it with the layup. ISU trails by 1. Keep in mind, Bristol, again, is in the USCAA. Later in the first, same score. Garrity goes across the court to Eric Nacken. He hits the tray ball. Idaho State goes on to win it 80-61. The Bengals are now 2-8 on the season. And over to high school hoops, Firth is ranked first in the 2A media poll. They hosted Fruitland this afternoon, who is ranked first in the 3A media poll, but they lost to Shelley last night. First quarter, Firth leads 11-7. The Cougars are on the fast break, and they get it to Damon Folkman, and he's getting fancy with the over-under. Firth leads by 6. To the second quarter, Firth leads 13-7, and Jordan Eggers does a nice behind-the-back move, and then he hits the pull-up jumper. Fruitland trails by 4. The Cougars answer back immediately. Folkman makes it look effortless, driving down the middle lane for the layup. Firth leads 14-9. Later on, same score, Folkman gets the rebound, does a nice behind-the-back move himself, and he does a nice job finishing the layup and getting the foul called. He completed the three-point play, making it 17-9 Firth, and Firth won it 57-50 in overtime. Over to Shelley, ranked second in the 3A media poll, hosting New Plymouth. First quarter, the Russets trailed by 1. Brady Holist does the one dribble pull-up jumper for the bucket. Shelley leads by 1. Later on, Adam Driscoll takes the ball down the court and then drives to the basket for the layup. Russets take a 6-3 lead. A little bit later, the game is tied at 6. Jack Thompson takes it to the baseline, to the hoop for the layup. The Russets go up by 2. Later, Shelley leads 13-9. New Plymouth swings it to Cody Fernley. He knocks down the tray ball. New Plymouth trails by 1 now. The Russets respond immediately, though. Reggie Smith is feeling the pressure. He gets it to Hollis, and he knocks down the long jumper for 2. Shelley leads 15-12, and Shelley wins it 65-56. The Russets are now 3-0 on the season. And taking a look at some of the other high school scores from around the area for the boys, Snake River beat Buell 54-41. Skyline defeated Clearfield out of Utah 49-36. Madison beat Syracuse 67-62. Highland beat Twin Falls 60-48. And for the girls, Butte County destroyed Rockland, winning 77-26. That's going to do it for sports. We'll be right back after this. Thanks, Carl.
One final look at a very cold and snowy forecast.
Yeah, a little bit of everything, off and on snow showers. Now, for the most part, these will drop maybe half an inch to an inch each day. I mean, it's going to be on the light side. The exception being, I think, Wednesday into Thursday we might see decent snow totals. And then after that, we're talking cold temperatures for next weekend. You saw 10 and 12 for Saturday, Sunday in Idaho Falls, 12 and 16 for highs in Pocatello. And if you go to Jackson, well, the temperatures really drop come the weekend. I mean, look at that. High of a mere 4 degrees next Saturday. So that is chilly, no matter who you are. But you got to get through the work week, which again, often on snow showers, not too hot, not too cold.
It's just a good time to bundle up and stay inside or go skiing. All right.
Good time.
Thanks, Chris. And we do have some breaking news we want to tell you about right now. Good Morning America is following this. Several people killed in the Somali capital from an explosion there. The latest tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. on Good Morning America. For now, have a good night. We'll see you back here tomorrow.